Hello, guys and gals, and welcome. So, yesterday, during my live stream, I got into a conversation with somebody about sparkly chests or super chests or whatever you want to call them. And one of the things that we discussed was basically that, there are specific drop odds that are very specific to super chests. And we came across the whole, dropping 7 unique items thing, and people got very interested because they wanted to know what the hell was going on. And it occurred to me that maybe I should just make a video on sparkly chests so that you guys can get a little bit more information on it. So first off, sparkly chests are special glowing chests that may drop multiple items, including multiple set, rare, or unique items. Not all chests that drop like a sparkly chest are actually sparkly. So super chests, which is the name I think that most people have given them, is what they're called. Sparkly chests, I think, specifically became about because, of course, the ones at the end of a dungeon or something like that will tend to be very glowy, right? Those are obviously super chests. The ones that are more so super chests than what we currently know, like when you're running along and you find a super chest and it's not sparkly, you know it's a super chest because of how it drops its loot. It's very obvious. Super chests have a specific way of dropping their loot, which is not normal. And as you can see here, it says right here, their drop odds are calculated in an unusual fashion, and Magic Find does not affect their gifts. A seed code is actually what affects their gifts, and other variables like how long you've been in the game, how many times your mercenary has attacked, how many spells you've cast, all sorts of things like that can affect the variables. But it's actually been tested that seed code has a lot to do with this, and so when you click on a sparkly chest, at the exact same time, it can actually drop the exact same items. This has been tested with various other YouTubers, where basically they were able to make a sparkly chest drop a Malrune every single time, or make a sparkly chest drop, like a Lemrune every single time. And this is because the seed code being the same in single player, combined with the variables being the same, allows for the chest to drop the same items, because those are the variables that determine the random nature. In online mode, you can't really do that, because number one, you can't see the seed code. Number two, your seed code doesn't stay the same between games. So even if you could see the seed code, it wouldn't help you out that much unless you had like a giant list of seed codes and where each chest was that dropped items. So like if the seed code was 77899211553321111, and then you go on the list, and the list is like, okay, that is Malrune in the super chest at Lower Kurast. Go there right now. And you go there and you click on it, and there's a Malrune. Right? But you would need a giant list, like miles long, of all the seed codes in all the locations that potentially have those particular items in them. Now, it doesn't really mean much, though, because you can just go around and click on every single chest, and eventually you'll find them in a seed. But there's a lot of chests in a map. So there's a lot to go over with sparkly chests. Let's go over it together. So sparkly chests are among the most complicated and wonderful items in Diablo 2. They are fixed objects in the game. They do not randomly appear. They have very complicated algorithms for dropping, so complicated that they are not in the ATMA calculator. They usually drop a large number of items. They are unaffected by your character's Magic Find rating, but are capable of dropping uniques and set items, and are quite capable of multiple unique or multiple set drops. As I have dug into the implications of the algorithms for sparkly chests used to determine the probabilities of which object drops, I have discovered a number of surprising things, but before I mention those, let me acknowledge the work of others, thanks to the Jarluf, who made some of the major discoveries about sparkly chests, and who graciously answered my questions in the statistics forum. Also, special recognition to Ravenal for his early work, as well as Erlich, Hurs, and the Warrior of Light for their very helpful guides. Okay, now what have I learned about sparkly chests? First, there is one particular sparkly chest, SC, in the Hell that is statistically rare source of TC87 uniques and set items. Sparkly chests are far more sensitive to players' setting than any monster. The sparkly chest drop rate of uniques is relatively poor, in that early acts of normal difficulty is much higher in Hell and highest in Nightmare. Sparkly chests are the only objects in the game that have a chance of dropping 7 uniques or 7 set items, and 4 with the best chance to drop 7 uniques are in Act 5 Nightmare, Abaddon, Glacial Trail, the Pit of Acheron, and Drifter Cavern. Sparkly chests have 6 basic cases for how they drop items. This was discovered by the Jarlath. The first 2 are of interest for set and unique drop odds. Case A, where the intended quality of item is unique, happens 2 times out of 100. When you open a sparkly chest, when this case occurs, the sparkly chest will drop anywhere from 0 to 7 uniques. In case A drop, all items will either be unique or magical or less. No set items will drop. Case B, where the intended quality of item is set, happens 5 times out of 100. When you open a sparkly chest, when this case occurs, the sparkly chest will drop anywhere from 0 to 7 set items. In a case B drop, all items will either set or magical or less. No unique items will drop. There are 4 other kinds of drops where the intended quality of item drops are rare or magical, and where there is no intended quality. These comprise the other 93 out of 100 cases when you open a sparkly chest. Except for a very rare circumstance, these drop cases will not generate unique or set items. This guide will ignore these other cases and concentrate on case A and case B drops, which occur 7% of the time. What happens under case A or case B? Whenever case A, intended quality unique, or case B, intended quality sets, occurs, the chest will pick 4 times using a set of tables. It will attempt to upgrade every item it picks, either unique case A or set case B. Often, the item picked cannot be upgraded because one of the following reasons. No item got dropped. The code randomly picked no drop roll. So this is a thing that happens, of course, with lower player counts a lot. It can still happen in Players 8, but no drop rolls are definitely lessened in Players 8. The item drop has no unique or set version. It might be gold or a health potion or a scroll or even a dimensional blade. Basically, if it's an item that does not actually have a unique or set version, like, say, for instance, an Archon plate, where there's no unique Archon plate, it will, of course, not be able to roll unique. The item drop does not have a unique or set version, or does have a unique set of version, but the unique set version cannot be generated because either the area level or the player's character level is lower than the unique set item's Q level. So this is a difference between TC class, basically. So if you have an item that requires TC 87 and you open a chest which is only TC 85, the item cannot drop. If the first item dropped, not a no drop, but an actual item, is the intended quality, unique or set, then the code finishes picking 4 items to drop and upgrades them all to unique or set as possible, and stops. In this instance, the yield is 1 to 4 unique or set items. However, if the first item dropped is not the intended quality, which happens about 85% of the time, then the code finishes a sequence of 4 picks, upgrading them as possible, and picks a second batch of another 4 items to drop. The same rule applies to the second batch of picks. They will be upgraded to uniques or sets as possible. If the first item dropped from the second batch is of the intended quality, then the second batch terminates the sequence. If the first item of the second batch is not the intended quality, the chest then goes on into consolation prize mode. Consolation prize mode. And starts dropping items 4 at a time with a quality magic or lower. Anywhere from 4 to 44 more items can then drop. I'm sure you guys have all had a case where you've clicked on a super chest and like a trillion items is what it feels like comes out of this one super chest. This is the case. This is the consolation prize mode that you've activated. So it's just going to keep dropping items, and it just keeps dropping them and dropping them and dropping them and dropping them and dropping them. Consolation prize mode is a specific mode where things didn't quite go correctly, and it just keeps dropping items. Except for one very rare case, no item after the first 8 will be upgraded to the intended quality, and MF does not affect the subsequent drops. So this is the process by which it chooses items. So this is very interesting. At the top level of logic in cases A and B are these very important pick odds. Equipment frequency 10. So armor and weapons. Good, gems, rings, amulets, jewels, charms, frequency 2. Gold, frequency 15. Junk, frequency 15. And no drop, frequency 2. Now, this changes depending on the number of players. So, for instance, over here we have a table, and it shows you the no drop frequency depending on the number of players. So we have essentially a 100% chance of at least one no drop. Man, this website has so many ads on it. And as you can see, when it gets to players 8, our no drop frequency goes down as much as possible. So clicking on these sparkly chests in a players 8 game has a much higher chance of getting no drops, or less no drops than obviously in players 1. Equipment and good are categories that can drop intended qualities of unique and or set items. Without the no drop factor, equipment and good will be picked 12 out of 42 times, but including the no drop factor, that equipment and good will only be picked 12 out of 44 minus 142 times. This is an enormous difference. At 4 players, which is the highest player mode achievable in single player. I don't know why that's saying. It's player 8. That is in players 7 or players 8 mode. The equipment and good categories will be picked 12 out of 55 times, 21.8% of the time. With 1 player, the desired equipment and good categories will be picked 12 out of 142 times, or 8.5%. Thus, in single player mode, shifting your player's setting from players 1 to players 7 will make a difference of 2.5 times in the probability of the unique and set items dropping. Trying to. Here's the stop button. This webpage keeps reloading itself over and over again and just like ruining everything. I don't know what's going on. But basically, as you can see, the drop probabilities of this are really complicated. Players 1 and player 7 obviously makes a pretty big difference in the actual drop rate of the uniques and sets. Whether you or not you choose to change from players 1 to 7 before opening a sparkly chest is a matter of personal opinion about whether this is cheesy or not. I'm just informing you that the player setting makes a huge difference in the odds of getting items to drop from a chest. For most of the rest of the guide, I will assume that the sparkly chests are opened at players 7 or players 8, i.e. simulating the max player count, either because you're playing at that level or because you've shifted up to that level before opening the chest. Second stage of picking items. So this is stage 2. This is a lot of reading. Let me take a sip of my drink real quick before we go forward. So given case A or B at 2% or 5% probability, respectively, the code picks one of the above categories. In 10 of 55, it picks equipment. In 2 of 55, it picks good. In the other 43 of 55 cases, it picks gold, no drop, or junk, and will drop unique or set items. If the random number generator picks good, the routine then picks further. Gems, with frequency that usually is 46 out of 130. Runes, usually at 14 out of 130, or jewelry at 60 out of 130. Gems, topazes, diamond skulls, and runes have no unique or set versions, so the selection of gems and runes is a dead end. Jewelry, however, is subdivided as follows. Rings, 8 out of 20. Amulets, 4 out of 20. Jewels, 2 out of 20. Grand charms, 2 out of 20. Large charms, 2 out of 20. And small charms, 2 out of 20. Note that rings and amulets can be upgraded to sets of uniques, and that jewels can be upgraded to unique rainbow facets for sparkly chests in an area with an A level greater than 85. Grand charms can be upgraded to unique Geed's fortune wherever the chest is in an area with an A level higher than 70, basically anywhere in hell difficulty. If in the first step the code instead picks equipment rather than good, the code then picks armor or weapons, treasure chest, TC category through a bewildering set of table calls. In reality, these table calls were programmers' way of writing software that can easily be updated to include new items or new higher level TCs. Upon closer inspection, each chest in the game is assigned a set of deterministic probabilities as to which equipment item is called. As an example, when the equipment category is picked, the TC Weapon 60 will be chosen by the Hell Cave Level 2 Sparkly Chest 2.44% of the time, while the Ancient Tunnels Sparkly Chest will pick 2.57% of the time. Not much difference in those numbers. Let's look closer. TC Weapon 6 has 9 base weapons in it. Only 3 of them are upgradable to unique, and none are upgradable to set. The base weapons and their unique versions are at a frequency level of 3 out of 19. Blade Bow, Bone Knife, of course, Wizard Spike, Hyperion Spear, Ariox Needle, Legend Sword, Ogre Axe, and which is Bone Hue, at a frequency level of 2 out of 19. Suwaya, Q level 59, at a frequency of 1 of 19, and then Heavenly Stone and Walking Stick, which are... If the intended quality is set, case B, then we are out of luck because none of the items in the Weapon 60 can be upgraded to set. If the intended quality is unique, case A, then 9 times out of 19, a Bone Knife, Hyperion Spear, or Ogre Axe will be picked, and they are all upgrading to unique, assuming the virtuous player has opened the sparkly chest using with a character level 85 or higher. And the chest is, say, the Ancient Tunnel Sparkly Chest, which is a level 85. Then those 3 base items are eligible to be upgraded to Wizard Spike, Ariox Needle, or Bone Hue. But if the player has opened the Cave Level 2 H chest, where the A level is only 79, then the Hyperion Spear cannot be upgraded to Q level 85 Ariox Needle. It will convert instead to a rare Hyperion Spear with 3 times the durability. That's the failed unique. The Cave Level 2 Sparkly Chest can only yield a Wizard Spike or Bone Hue at a frequency of 6 out of 19 when Weapon 60 is picked. Thus, the TC Weapon 60 category can have different outcomes depending upon the A level of the chest from which it was summoned. So that's the methodology, as I simply can explain it. I've put together a large spreadsheet and have calculated the probability of every Sparkly Chest in the game, calling every TC. And then I figured out which uniques and set items are upgradable from base items, which chests. So let's get some results. Super chests and their yields / unique sets. So first, let me remind you, everyone, not all chests that sparkle are sparkly chests. Some sparkling chests are quest chests. These are chests that yield quest items that have different rules for dropping items. Quest chests include, among others, the Maggot Layer chest, the Spider Cavern chest, the Kuros Level 2 chest, the Ruined Temple chest, Lamasem's Tome, etc. True sparkly chests do not yield quest items. There are 24 sparkly chests within each difficulty level, or a total of 72 on the path to Hellbale. There are 5 chests with identical characteristics in the false Talrosh's Tomb. Great Marsh has 2 sparkly chests with identical characteristics. The other 17 are each individualistic in their drop odds as they are encountered on normal, nightmare, and hell difficulties. Below is a list of sparkly chests in normal difficulty and the average number of unique set items dropped each time you open the chest. No drop odds used in these calculations are, of course, for Player 7 mode. It is also assumed that if the first 4 picks are all no drop, that the sequence diverts into another case sequence and no unique items are dropped at all. It was further assumed that the character opening the chest has a C level equal to or higher than the area level. So here we got normal chests and their unique set drop odds. So we've got all the sparkly chests here. As you can see, we've got Arctic Furs, Biggin's Bonnet, Nail Striker, the Diggler, Blinkbat's Form, Sanders Paragon, Dust Heap, Wisdom Draw, Stone of Jordan from the Infernal Pit sparkly chest. That's interesting. 21.3. Normal Cave Level 2 sparkly chest cannot drop uniques or set items. Its area level is too low. In fact, all the Act 1 normal chests are poor fishing grounds for uniques and set items. This probably creates an impression that with many players that sparkles don't yield much. Avoid getting confused on the Kuros Sewer sparkly chest. There is a quest chest on level 2, but randomly located somewhere on Kuros Sewer's level 1 is a true sparkly chest. Act 3 and Act 5 Nightmare sparkly chests offer the best odds of getting a SU drop to drop. Here are the Nightmare sparkly chests. So with the Nightmare sparkly chest, you see we've got the whole level 2 has a pretty good chance of giving you Silks of the Victor. Arm of King Leoric from Stony Tomb level 2. Hone Sudan from the Ancient Tunnels. Lidless Wall from Talrosh's Tomb Chests. Skulder's Ire from the Arachnids Lair. Earthshaker from Swampy Pit level 3. Who Sold All Evo from Kuras Sewers level 1. The Crown of Thieves from Abaddon. And K. Hagen's Wisdom from Infernal Pit. Sparkly chests in Hell will draw from higher TCs that cause the drop odds to go up slightly, but the higher TCs and area levels mean that better objects can drop here, are the Hell Sparkly chests. So we got T-Strokes, Ormus Robes, Wolf Howl. I did not mean to do that. Lord adds just out the wing. Pew, pew, pew. We got Spikethorn, Eschew Semper, Rune Master, Bone Shade, Gut Siphon, Raven Lore, Schaefer's Hammer. And as you can see, Drifter Cavern has a chance of dropping Wind Force. A lot of interesting drops here on the Sparkly chests in Hell. Note that it is relatively ignored Drifter Cavern that has a Sparkly chest with a small chance of dropping a TC87 item. However, the chest can only drop items that have a Q level of 84 or less. Fortunately, this turns out to be most of the TC87s, namely Death Cleaver, Darkforge Spawn, Astrion's Iron Ward, Griswold's Redemption, Griswold's Valor, Griswold's Honor, Bull Cathos Sacred Charge, Bull Cathos Tribal Guardian, Griffin's Eye, Venus True Sight, Death's Fathom, Storm Spire, Executioner's Justice, Windforce, Ghost Flame, Shadow Dancer, Templar's Might, IK Soul Cage, Natalia's Mark, Earthshifter, Death's Web, Steel Pillar, and even Gargoyle's Bite. Why is the Drifter Cavern chest different than all the other Sparkly chests? Because it is the only chest in Act 5 Hell with an area level of level 84, thereby qualifying it to drop from the TC category called Act 5 Hell Chest B. Act 5 Hell Chest B has a small chance of choosing either Weapon 87 or Armor 87 to drop from it. Is Drifter Cavern Sparkly Chest a good source of TC87s? No, not really. Each time you pop a DC chest, the cumulative TC87 set unique drop odds are only about 1 in 13,680. Below is a list of Sparkly chests and the average number of uniques dropped each time a case A drop is picked. Odds 1 in 50. No drop odds are used in these calculations, players 8. It's also assumed that if the first 4 picks are all no drop, that the sequence diverts into another case sequence and the no unique items are dropped at all. It was further assumed that the character opening the chest has a C level equal to the chest itself. So as you can see here, we've got like a mean number of uniques cases per case drop, and we have less than 1% here on the crypt. In Hell difficulty, as you can see, it goes up by quite a bit. Nightmare seems to be higher. So for some reason or another, a lot of the chests in Nightmare seem to have a higher drop rate. As you can see, Abaddon is 1.122 versus 1.059 in Hell. Not like a huge difference, but in normal difficulty, you can see the odds for a lot of these lower level chests are pretty terrible. And as he said earlier, it's because they don't really have good uniques to pull from. The A level is so low that there's really not a lot of uniques to pull from in normal, which means that the Sparkly chests tend to be absolutely terrible in normal, but then get a lot better in Nightmare when the area level goes up as a result. And here we see pretty much the same thing with the frequency of multiple uniques dropping. Again, very low in normal. Goes up toward Nightmare, gets very high in Nightmare, and drops a little bit down in Hell. Thus, the drop odds for a 7 unique drop in Hell Mausoleum Sparkly Chest on players at 7 are 1 in 1,459.357. I'm guessing that's supposed to be a comma. So, like 1 in 1.459 billion. However, drops of 2 to 5 uniques are considerably more likely. I've personally had a drop of 3 uniques from a Sparkly chest, something you would see from the Hell Mausoleum chest every 800 runs or so. Just to show you the leverage of player setting, if a player was running Hell Mausoleum in a multiplayer game with 8 players located nearby, the drop odds of a 7 unique would be about 1 in 306,000, or 5 times more often than in single player. P7. In contrast, on player's 1 setting, one would have odds of a 7 unique drop of more than 1 in 0.1 trillion, a factor of also 700 above the 4-player case. The only silver lining is that after 1.1 trillion ones, you would probably drop a lot of Zod runes as well. And this has changed a little bit. It's important to note that these results have changed. A lot of the times through here, you see him talk about the A level. So the A level has a lot to do with these sparkly chests. Well, the terrorized zones have changed the A level of a zone. So, for instance, if you were to go to one of these lower level zones in Hell difficulty, and you were to find, say, for instance, Stony Tomb is converted. That sparkly chest is converted into a higher TC class while you're in that zone with the terror zone activated. So the sparkly chest could potentially be a TC 87 chest during that particular time. This allows you to kind of convert the chests. It's all very complicated, and the first time that you see a 7 unique drop chest, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It'll be the first time you see it, and your mind will be blown. You'll be like, dude, I opened this chest, and 7 uniques popped out. I mean, yeah, some of them weren't good. Like, I got like a Venom Ward. I got like some other junk. But one of them was really good. I got a Skin of the Viper Magi, and I also got a frickin', Tyraels. Like, and that's the kind of thing that happens, is 7 items will drop, 7 items will be converted into uniques, and there's no guarantee that those 7 uniques will be, honestly, any good. But it's going to be 7 uniques on the ground, which is probably one of the coolest things to see, is 7 uniques falling at the same time. If you want to dive into this more, I'm sure there is actually more information on this. It's already been 27 minutes for this video, so I'm not really going to go too much deeper into this. But I thought I would bring this to you guys' attention for those of you who don't know about sparkly chests or super chests. Give you guys a little bit more information about how they drop items. Obviously inform you that they don't get affected by Magic Find, and talk about like some of the cool things that you can get, like 7 uniques and 7 sets. You can also get 7 rares. That's also a thing. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, and keep watching.